integrity. When I was thinking, contemplating, praying about what it is, Brother Kennedy, that I would teach on tonight, I was kind of all over the place. I was looking at Sister Lipscomb somewhere everywhere, and really things weren't sticking the way I wanted them to. And so I said, let me really just talk to the Lord and let Him tell me what I'm supposed to do, because I'm all over this place at that point. And so threw me off with this Tuesday. I kind of got a routine, a little, thing that I'm in, so to speak. Monday's normally my day that I try to recuperate and get my mind back right to handle things on Wednesday and Sunday. But so Monday turned into a work day, so to speak. So I was really just all out of whack. I mean, I was just, and then, it's a new dynamic happening in the house now. So, God is faithful.
He is faithful.
It was just a different space to be in. And as I was there, the thing that came across my mind was integrity. And I said, Lord, I want to teach it and I want to do it justice. So I had to do this study. Now, one of the things, Sister Baltimore, I used to define back, and this was probably about, maybe 20 years ago, when somebody asked me as a teenager, when you think of integrity, what is it that you say integrity is? And one of the things I used to say, and it's a decent definition, but it's not in its full capacity. One of the things I used to define integrity as was doing what's right when nobody's looking. That was my thing, like, forever. If people ask me at church, and I felt like I was deep too when I said it. I'm like, that's a good definition. And so I've really been living on that for a while. That integrity, thank you, Sister. That's a good definition. That integrity is doing the right thing when nobody sees you. And the Lord said, son, that's good, but why don't you really look it up? I mean, that's good. But research it, just like you research any other word. Look it up. So I said, okay, God, I will. So this is what integrity really means. First of all, I'm going to give you the English definition, all right? The English definition for integrity is to be complete or whole. To be complete or whole. To live in an unimpaired condition. So again, that's to be complete or whole. To live in an unimpaired condition. Integrity means to operate in soundness. Finally, it means to be honest and sincere. Integrity, again, completeness or wholeness. To live in an unimpaired condition. To operate with soundness or in soundness. To be honest and sincere. So, Minister Black, when I really looked at that, I said the definition I was using was decent, but it was missing a lot of components. Because integrity speaks to, Sister Foster, me living in an unimpaired state. Now, this is Pastor Hinton, and this is why the way I teach it and what I teach, I know it's God, but this is why I know what I'm teaching is accurate. When people begin to say, well, why is it a problem? And I've had this conversation with people that are saved, that I actually know are saved. I really believe in my heart they love Jesus. And they begin to say, well, what's wrong with me drinking? Well, if God is calling us to live in integrity, and integrity is an unimpaired state.
Wow.
The drink is the thing that impairs me. And so when my judgment becomes impaired,
yes, sir,
I just walk outside of integrity, which means I'm now no longer pleasing to God.
Wow. That's good, sir.
So it is to be unimpaired. Now, when one person is unimpaired, that means they are free from flaws and not operating in a disillusioned state. Okay, when one is disillusioned, they can basically, okay, if I'm disillusioned, I'm looking at Kenny, but I'm seeing three of them. I'm looking at Kenny, but the Kenny on the right has a white jacket on. The Kenny on the left has a black shirt on. And the Kenny in the middle got on the black jacket and the white shirt. Right. I'm disillusioned. I'm looking, check this out, at the same person, but I'm seeing them three different ways.
Wow.
I'm impaired. That's why when you have somebody that's dealing with some intoxication, Mr. Black, and the police pull them over, yes, they say, okay, we're going to give you a sobriety test. Yeah. I want you to walk in a straight line. Now, because my vision is disillusioned, because there's an impairment, I see the line, but the line is going in and out to me. I'm wondering, how did they get a zigzag on the side of the road?
Wow.
Because I'm disillusioned.
How did this happen?
How did this happen? When I rode past it yesterday, the line was straight. Just like with Sister Balknight. You know, first time I met her, Sister Balknight was 5'10". Now Sister Balknight is 6'3". I'm disillusioned. Nah, it's just she wear heels and stuff. But to be and to live in an unimpaired condition, that means that I'm not disillusioned or I'm not thrown off by things in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was too, Sister Balknight. When I'm not thrown off by things in my life, that means I'm living in an unimpaired state. If I can always, example I just gave, one day the road looked like it was, the line like it was straight, the next day when I was impaired it was zigzag. When I'm always seeing the same thing the same way, I'm walking in integrity.
Yeah, that's good.
So that means, check this out, even if what I'm seeing is acting different, I still see them the same way.
Wow.
Oh God, this is good right here. Yeah. This is good. So when I go to work and I realize that my coworker is having a bad day, because I'm walking in integrity, I don't let the fact that you look and act different today cause me to look at you differently.
Wow.
I still look at you from a place of love. I still look at you from a place of understanding that I'm not going to be disillusioned because I'm walking in integrity. Now, the thing about integrity is, Brother Foster's like, why you keep rubbing me?
You're like, huh? What?
He good. It's the job situation we're dealing with. But he's straight. Yeah, he's straight. It's the job we're talking about.
Yes, sir.
But when I'm walking in integrity, Sister Balknight, it's easier for me to spot out somebody that's not walking in integrity.
How about that?
Just like a sober person can spot somebody drunk quicker because they don't look like how I look. So the job is, do I treat them like how they are?
That's a good one.
Or do I still treat them the way I know they're supposed to be treated?
Wow.
Do I kick the drunk because I know he's drunk? Or do I help him like I would if he wasn't drunk?
It's heavy, my goodness.
This is good. This heavy.
So take, my God.
Integrity.
That's heavy, sir. That's mean.
It's living in an unimpaired condition. So when I'm living and operating in integrity, it's no way I can be a racist.
This is true.
Right.
That's so true.
Because I'm going to treat everybody the same, because even though you may look different, my vision is not impaired.
That's right. Yes. Good.
Yeah. So when all these crazy things coming up and looking at the world, this is why, Sister Falls, I know I had to teach on this tonight. I had an opportunity last night late. I was doing some studying, and I said, let me just look at the news. I try to stay on top of what's going on the best way I can. But I'm looking at the news, and the thing that has been so heavy in the news is this whole transgender bathroom thing. Yeah, let me just get in trouble since I'm here. This whole thing, and I began to really look at the TV, and I said, God, I know Jesus is coming back. I know he is. I know he is, because I see the condition of the world. But what I need you to help me, this was my prayer, Deacon, back to God last night. I said, God, what I need you to do is help me to navigate a church through this type of environment.
Right.
Give me the wisdom, give me the grace to be able to help us navigate through this environment. He says, son, you can navigate when you're operating in integrity. He says, even when you see things that you know are out of whack and out of place,
Right.
if I don't give you the release to address it, you treat it the way you think it should look.
Oh.
Help me here. All right, what does Pastor say? The transgender, the homosexual, the bisexual, whatever. They got so many acronyms now. I don't even know where to even begin. But when I come into contact with this person,
Yes.
it is my job, Sister Lipscomb, to show the love of Christ to this person. It is my job to love you, but hate your ways.
Yeah.
It is my job to respect you as a person, but help you to know where I stand in relation to what you're saying to me.
Yes, sir.
Right.
So this is the thing, Bro Foster. I'm going to love the homosexual, but he won't be comfortable enough around me to operate as a homosexual.
There you go.
Wow.
That's-
Wow,
yes,
wow,
there you go.
wow.
Because I'm not going to throw you under the bus. I'm not going to treat you less than a person because I understand that you are a person. I just understand you're confused. I see your impairment. And because my life is unimpaired, I can handle you like the man that you really are.
Wow.
And when you get tired enough of hearing me call you a man, you either going to leave me alone or you're going to change.
Right.
Yes, sir. Sir.
Wow.
Sir,
Yeah.
with your lipstick on.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I cannot.
Yes, sir. Wow.
And I love you.
Yeah.
I'm going to pound you up. I'm going to give you some doubt, all that good stuff. Sir. Because that's what you are. I had, oh God, maybe she won't look at this. But I had a barber in Virginia, right? Had a barber in Virginia. I mean, the girl was, I mean, she knew what she was doing. You know, Kenny, she ain't got you. Let me help you out. But she knew what she was doing. And I used to sit at her chair, and she literally looks more mannish than me. It's just that I got a beard and she doesn't. But she got the regular, you know, the low cut, the glasses, the jeans, the nice nigga. I mean, she really looks like my homeboy. And one day, now this in black, you know this had to be God. One day, now because I'm sitting in your chair, that means I've given you control over my head. You got clippers, you got razors, you got all kind of things you can do to make me look like a different person. So I knew it was the Spirit of the Lord,
yes,
because one day we were talking and I said, yes, ma'am. And she looked at me. She said, what you call me? I said, ma'am, that's what you are.
Yeah.
And she looked at me, and I'm like, Lord, you know when you get bold.
Yeah. Get bold.
I'm like, She said, this was at the beginning of the class. Like, I mean, she had just, I really hadn't got no lines or nothing happened yet. So I'm like, oh, wow, I really might walk out of here bald. Because I really crossed the line. And she looked at me, and she said, you know what? I can take that from you.
Yes.
Wow.
I said, well, I appreciate it.
Wow.
I ain't gonna push it.
Yeah.
I ain't finna release.
Right, you
it from the Lord, so
Yes, sir.
I said, well, maybe I just need to say it once, Jesus. And, you know, I did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Point was made.
And made the point.
Right.
So even when the ladies would come in, and I would see how she would interact when other people would be in her chair, and she'd be pounding the guys up because the ladies coming in looking nice. But when I was in her chair, none of that. It was respect.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Because I'm not trying to make you to be something that you're not by treating you like a man.
Right.
But I also understand that you really are a woman.
Yes.
And I ain't gonna push you. I ain't gonna tell you. You know. I'm gonna try my best to help your life change just by me being there.
Right. That's awesome.
That's living in an unimpaired place.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna be judgmental, but I'm also not gonna give in to what it is you do.
That's good, sir.
I'm gonna still stand on the person that God has called me to stand in, the way God has called me to stand, but I'm still gonna be able to respect who you are and love you. Just know you're not gonna be comfortable doing that around me.
Yes.
So it's integrity. All right, integrity. Okay. This is where I got this. This is where Sister Barton, the crux of everything came from. There's one verse of scripture. Y'all can turn to Job. All right, turn to Job chapter 1. But I'm going to give you this one verse of scripture while you're turning there. It's a scripture in Psalm 37. It's Psalm 37 and 37. And that scripture says, mark the perfect man and behold the upright. For the end of that man is peace. Psalm 37, verse 37. It says, mark the perfect man and behold the upright. For the end of that man is peace. The perfect man, Sister Lipscomb. Jesus, God says to us through the psalmist that we need to mark him. That word mark means to identify with and to point out. To identify with and point out the perfect man. To observe his life and his ways. He says because the end of that man is peace. Yeah. Now, that scripture used to always mess with me, but it excites me now because that's what integrity is all about. That at the end of every counteraction or interaction that I have during the day, the end of every one of those is supposed to be peace.
Yes.
Whether it's interacting with my wife, the end of it's supposed to be peace. If it's interacting with my children, the end of it is supposed to be peace. If it's interacting with my co-workers, the end of it is supposed to be peace. If it's interacting with my boss, the end of it is supposed to be peace. If it's interacting with people that don't like me, and I may not like either, the end of it is still supposed to be peace.
Yeah.
Because however I leave somebody, they're supposed to be left in peace. That's integrity. Integrity is when you come in contact with me, you're always going to leave out of my presence feeling better than what you did when you came in. And if that can't be said about every relationship in our lives, that means we're lacking integrity somewhere. I had a lady on a job that I used to work, the secular job I was on in Virginia, and I just knew with all of me that she really despised me. And I got that, and I was cool with that.
Yeah.
But the reality was, Sister Bartnight, whenever it was that we would come in contact with each other, even if it was phony, she would leave with a smile.
Yep.
Even if it was, I'm smiling because I don't want to shoot you, I'm leaving with a smile. Because the end of the perfect man, Bro Foster, is supposed to be peace. When I leave my job at the end of the day, it's supposed to be left in peace. When I leave my house, it's supposed to be left in peace. Whatever relationship I have has to be covered in peace. All right, so we're talking about integrity. Let's look at Job. We're looking at Job, and this is a very familiar story. We probably hit around some of this before in the past, but it's necessary for us to look at tonight. I want to really put some weight on just the very first verse of Job chapter 1. Job chapter 1, verse 1. And this is, I'm going to just try to teach from this one verse, and we're going to go through the word off this verse. The Bible says this: there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. And that man was perfect and upright and one that feared God and eschewed evil. Job. This man was perfect. He was upright, he feared God, and he shunned, hated, or eschewed evil. Let's look at these four things here. To be perfect. Now, the word perfect, when we identify with it in Scripture, never speaks to the perfection, Minister Black, as it relates to me always doing everything right. Okay? Because if that's what the word was saying, it would be no purpose for us to still be alive. I'll give you a biblical example. There was a man in the book of Genesis by the name of Enoch. The Bible says that Enoch walked with the Lord, and he pleased God, and he was no more. Which means God translated Enoch. He took Enoch out of the earth because Enoch had reached physical perfection. So when you reach that point, it's no longer a need for you to be in the earth. This is Bible. Now this is the greater point, Minister Black. The Bible never says that Enoch died. Just says that he was translated. Pastor, what are you saying? What I'm saying is, I want people to stop lying that, somebody's life seemingly was cut short. Oh, they were just so good, Lord had to take them out of the earth. You're not telling the truth. Because if that was the situation, that they were just so perfect and God wanted to take them out of the earth, you never would have went to their funeral. You would have woke up one day and they just weren't here anymore. Because, you die because the flesh is the part of us that needs to be killed. That's the imperfect part. So I've got to experience death to get imperfection off of me for my soul to go to a perfect place. But if I'm walking upright before God, my flesh isn't even going to hinder me from reconnecting with my spirit. He'll just take me off. Now the flesh will vanish and do whatever I do, but he'll take me out of here. So, but Enoch lived, it was 365 years that Enoch lived. He was on the earth for 365 years. He pleased God, he was no more. So, we got a man here by the name of Job. The Bible says Job was perfect. Now, theologians have said that Job, Mr. Black, this is why we study, theologians have said that Job was about 70 years old at the time of these occurrences.
Yes.
All right? So we're looking at a man that's got a little bit of time on him. I'm going to give you a little bit more history on Job. Job, let me say this before I say this, and this is good for us to catch. I want us to be a very sound word church. What we got to understand about the Bible, and this is a good point that not everybody knows. The Bible is not necessarily written in chronological order. Okay? The Bible, just because Job is, 7 books in, does not mean that Job is actually 7 books in terms of the biblical story. So the understanding is, when we do the match and the cross references, that Job actually lived in a time when Abraham was on the earth. All right? So Job and Abraham are really like counterparts. So we go through the history, you know how early it was that Abraham came along. Well, that's where Job is. So Job is before all of the children of Israel. He's before the wilderness. He's before the Red Sea. He's before Moses. He's before all those guys, even though he's physically in the Bible after these occurrences have come. So Job is a man that's living in a time like unto the times of Abraham. So if we understand that about Job, we understand that Job was not living under the law. Job was living in the dispensation of promise, which God made to Abraham. Therefore, since Job was living under the dispensation of promise, he was not aligned, Sister Lipscomb, to the same traps or the same requirements that the children of Israel were during the time of their wilderness journeys and beyond, because in the wilderness they had the law, they had the 10 Commandments. So Job was living in a time before there were 10 Commandments. He was living in a time before God had revealed himself to Moses as being the I am that I am. So Job's faith or Job's trust in God really, First Lady, should get a little more weight than what it gets. And the reason is because he didn't have all of the cross references that some of his counterparts had. He didn't have the fact that God can show up out of nowhere and do what he does. He just got the trust that the same God that spoke to Abraham will actually take care of him too. He was not of the lineage of Abraham. He was doing his own thing in his own place, but the Bible says he was a perfect man. Why is Pastor saying all that? Pastor saying that to say, Bro Foster, that just because people don't go to your church, don't mean people not living right.
Amen.
Right.
Amen.
That's good.
Bethel Temple Faith Church is not the only church where people are living saved. They're doing it in other places. And I believe that wholeheartedly. So he says that Job was perfect. All right? So when it's perfect, again, it doesn't speak to be free from fault. But what it speaks to is a measure of completeness. All right? Perfection speaks to a measure of completeness. When we look at the Hebraic definition of the word integrity, okay? Integrity has two different Hebrew words. The first word is tom, T-O-M. Tom is, in fact, the masculine form of the word integrity. The masculine form of the word integrity, which speaks to perfection and moral innocence. Perfection and moral innocence. Tone. The word integrity in the Hebrew. Now, Mr. Black, when I hear the words moral innocence, I really wonder. Now, this is where it's probably a little heavy for us now. We had a lot of good pleasantries a moment ago, but I think it's good to really take a turn for the serious side of this thing now. I really wonder if it's even possible for people that live in this world to operate in a moral innocence. I wonder if it's possible, and this is why I ask that, because everything that we see, for the most part, you look at things on TV, you look at things in society, you look at things just wherever you go, you see so much demoralizing that what the church has done is just because, Sister Bartnight, we a step above from going to the club, we say we innocent.
Wow.
Yep.
Because we are just a step above drinking a 40, we innocent. Because we just a step above wearing hoochie mama pants in the street, we feel like we're innocent.
Just a step.
But if we really understand the cost, Diaviana, of being innocent, we would really recognize the necessity for Jesus in our lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because even on my good days, when I'll turn the TV off, when I'll stay in the house,
Right.
when I'll, not go to the mall, even on the best days, the thought of what I could be doing is demoralizing.
That's
Yes.
God from Zion.
Wow.
God, quiet.
I'm in a place where, I got a spot in the house this night, in my study, and I really feel like that's just the presence of God. I really feel like in there, man, nothing can get me. That spot has just been consecrated. It's anointed. I walk in and I feel empowered. I feel like I turn into gold when I go in there. And so even in that place,
Still.
demoralizing thoughts can show up.
Like that. Wow.
And the place has been consecrated. Ain't no TV in there. No internet use outside of doing church business is being used. How does demoralizing enter into that space?
It's amazing.
God says because that's the world you're living in. You're living in a world where things have been demoralized. Everything goes. Everything's accepted. If I want to kiss a man on TV and I'm a man, hey, I'll just kiss him.
Wow.
If I want to just, whatever, if I want to just show my naked body on ABC, well, hey, I would just go for it. Because morals have just left the earth. So God is saying the challenge for us is, as the church, to be more challenged in just saying I want to be a step above not doing something.
Yes, sir.
I want to actually show now what morals look like.
Wow.
But because our not doing it, Sister Foster, makes us feel like we're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm not going to the club, I'm good. No, but can I show what the other side of life looks like?
Wow.
Let me help us. I can remember, Sister Bart Night, and I'm gonna try to stay calm. I can remember as a child, and I was really challenged in my mind, like, is it even possible to have fun as a Christian? Is that even acceptable? What does that look like, Jesus? Because I want, it's got to be more than just family and friends day that I can have fun.
That's real.
It's got to be more than just the church cookout that I can have fun. God help me here. Are you telling me I got to live in a shell? God says, no, you don't. He says, but whenever you go somewhere, you got to make sure that you don't fall into your environment.
Wow. Teaching.
Because if you go with the idea that I'm going to bring innocence to this space, and that environment causes my innocence to be dampened, that just let me know I became just as demoralized as they did. Yeah. The Six Flags story. The Six Flags story. Six Flags story. Now I'm going to get all this one again in case you forgot. So we going to Six Flags. Church trip. Everything, God, we feel like it's on the up and up. We good.
Feeling good.
We excited. We done prayed. We done sung songs of Zion in the van. We done smelled people's feet. Anyway, we won't go there. But we done done all these great things, Brother Foster, on the way. We get up there. We already got a plan. We